Hello, welcome to BBC World News. 5 million face masks have been handed out to students in Delhi after pollution made the air so toxic, officials were forced to declare a public health emergency. The air quality has been measured at 20 times worse than the levels deemed acceptable by the World Health Organization. And you can see in these pictures just how bad it is. India Gate and other monuments in Delhi just almost invisible, shrouded in a noxious cocktail of industrial emissions and agricultural smoke from surrounding regions. Many schools are closed. A Supreme Court mandated panel imposed several restrictions in the city and two neighbouring states as air quality deteriorated to severe levels. Let's get an idea of what it's like there. Here's Praktisha Gidyal in Delhi.
I'm in central Delhi, just near the main business district, and with the iconic India Gate behind me. But as you can see, it's barely visible, with a thick blanket of smog around it. For a third consecutive day now, residents here are having to breathe the season's most toxic air.
Well, joining me is the BBC's Nitin Srivastava. Nitin, I mean, you can see how bad it is. I mean, how much worse than usual is this?
Well, this is actually quite bad because people were expecting it to be as bad last year. The previous year, it didn't happen. The year before that, it was really as bad as this, and that's when people started, the governments also started planning out checking vehicular emissions, checking crop burning or stubble burning, which apparently is the main cause of this pollution, putting a control on firecrackers, which are being used during the festival of Diwali, which is just passed.
So, I mean, it's always at this time when things reach a peak, and this year is particularly bad. And you mentioned some of the factors. Why so bad this year?
Well, what happens is that, Delhi is surrounded, Delhi is basically a landlocked capital, surrounded by a few states which are really heavy on agriculture farming. This is the time of the year when the farmers clear their fields. The easiest and simplest for them is to burn the stubble in the fields. Now, this is a time when the westerlies winds happen from the west of India towards the east, and this is what brings all the smoke, all the dust, all the haze down to Delhi. If you add up the firecrackers during the festival of Diwali, and you add up the vehicular emissions, and you add up the construction work which is happening big time in Delhi and the suburbs, it becomes a gas chamber, as Delhi's Chief Minister rightly said today.
It's an extraordinary phrase to use. And we saw there how bad it is. What sort of effect is it having? Your family's in Delhi. What are people reporting about what it does to you day in, day out like this?
So it is like, people are sort of heading to doctors with lung infections, with asthmatic troubles, breathing difficulties, having sleep disorders, young kids. I've been speaking to my family and other families, and small children, toddlers are on anti-allergics because of this. The government has rightly said that the schools are going to be shut for the next 4 days. There's a complete stop on construction activity. 5 million masks, as you said, are to be distributed. But I think that's just not enough because Delhi and suburbs combined together is more than an estimated 25 million people, more than the population of Australia.
What normally brings this to an end? I mean, does the weather change or it just simply clears? And I mean, does the government have any long-term plan? I can imagine there's a real political blame game going on.
Yes, the governments have been talking about a real plan, and every time the governments, be it the federal government or the state governments, they come up with various promises and schemes like regulating the vehicular traffic which is coming into Delhi and going out of Delhi, and cutting down on industrial air pollution and stuff like that. But the fact is, whenever there's a problem, it is so enormous that it actually goes out of hand and it becomes like a real menace and a health hazard.
Nitin, thank you very much. Nitin Srivastava.
Pleasure.